Okay, so, how many of you guys are familiar with Bloody Roar as a series?
Oh.
A good number.
Yes.
Okay. How many of you guys know what this project is? Specifically already. Okay, if you already know what this is, cool. So what we've done is we've taken...
should we put this at the options menu or something? So
yes.
It's not...
We've taken...
I got you.
Yeah. And the classic game for PlayStation 1. This is a PlayStation. Ancient.
Who remembers that?
Prehistoric tech. Still working. And so this is, running on an actual PlayStation 1. And what we did with this game was we dubbed it. We gave it a new dub in English. And this was something that we kind of did over the pandemic, when the pandemic started, because we're voice actors. Sorry, hi guys, my name is Casey. I'm a voice actor. And this here is Kira Buckland. She's also a voice actor. And this is our friend Scott, who is just like the Bloody Roar guy, who is just like kind of essential in making sure we didn't screw this up. So basically, as voice actors, we usually work in studio. Pandemic happens, and well, we weren't for a while, and we pretty much were told, stay home till further notice. And this is, remember, this is like, March 2020.
Yeah. So we thought, spoiler alert, that didn't happen. We were out of work for like 2 weeks, and then our industry's been the busiest it's ever been since then.
But I was like, because I was thinking a few months before, I'm like, I love this game. I just started playing it. I'm like, man, it'd be kind of fun to do like a project with, get me and Kira and some of my other voice actor friends to do something with this, right? That'd be kind of cool. But when are we gonna have the time for that? Well, we found the time. The time found us, and this is a perfect time. So in March, we're all setting up our home booths. Like we have to work from home. Now we have to learn how to do all this stuff from home. As kind of like a test run, I hit up a bunch of friends that were voice actors and some of my directors for shows and games, and I just called them up and I'm like, hey, what are you doing right now? Oh, cool. Can I ask you a favor? Something you're interested in doing? Cool. And it's pretty much like, hey, we're going to be trying to dub this game from like 1998. And they're like, what? And I'm like, trust me, this could be cool or this could suck. I don't know, it's an experiment. But I really love the game and I wanted to give it a shot. And we had some time to kill to see if we can make it work.
And some of the cast, didn't they play Bloody Roar back in the day?
That's the thing is like most of the people that most of my friends that I asked, I didn't even know they knew what it was. I'm like, hey, so what's the game anyway? And I'm like, well, it's this obscure thing called Bloody Roar 2. Bloody Roar 2? I played that all the time as a kid. I'm like, oh, what? And one of our friends that I cast as Hugo the Wolf, the boxer, he was like, he knew it. And I didn't have to explain anything to him. I was just like, this is, and he knew who he was playing before I even told him. He was like, I'm playing Hugo, aren't I? I'm like, yeah, you're playing.
He loves wolves and werewolves, so anything with wolf in it, he's like, I better play them.
Yeah. So, if you wanna...
Yeah, so a lot of this was very easy, aside from I think the only character that kind of gave us a little trouble to figure out a casting for was Stun the Insect. But a lot of the characters, it just kind of came naturally to us, who either we would want to play ourselves or what actor we want to pick to play them. Casey, what was your thought process behind playing Bakuryu the Mole?
Well, I really loved the Japanese actor who did Bakuryu in the Japanese version. She did a phenomenal job, and I was like, wow, this is going to be a tough one to kind of match, even come close to matching. And I thought her pitch and her intensity was just perfect. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And then I heard, the original English dub afterwards of the game, and it was not close. So it was a very different time where, 90s devs, you know.
Yeah. I think now there's a lot more emphasis, at least we've noticed because we work on so many localized games as voice actors, there's a lot more emphasis on staying close to the original language voices. So when we work on a JRPG or a fighting game, for example, a lot of times we are referencing the Japanese voice actors.
So we wanted to be as close as the Japanese version as possible. And that was kind of like our little like passion project / test, you know what I mean? Because I've never done anything like that before, but I took apart the game. I found that it was a format that I could kind of understand because I've hacked games, reverse engineered PlayStation games before. Just don't tell anyone that. And it was a format that I was like, oh, this is usable. All right, I think we can work with this. So I recorded Bakudi myself first, just so I didn't have everybody else, record and like, turns out we can't do it. LOL. And so I put it in the game, and it was like, oh shoot, this is actually kind of cool. Oh my god, this might be kind of neat. So I was like, here, let's have you jump in and do Uriko. And then she jumped in the booth and just did Uriko's voice.
For context, we have 5 cats. This is my fault. So I'm a crazy cat lady. Like I don't even take that as an insult. If someone calls me crazy cat lady, I'm just like, yeah, you're not wrong. So
how many crazy cat ladies in the audience in here? There's a couple.
Yeah. So when you told me like, oh yeah, you can be the cat character, like the half beast, but she's like very cat-like in her beast form. So I just thought that was very perfect, and I was excited to do it. I actually come from a fighting game background. I voiced for a lot of fighting games. I used to play fighting games all the time, used to enter tournaments and stuff, but shamefully, I was not really familiar with Bloody Roar before this project.
But now she's very familiar with it.
Yeah.
And so, long story short, once we had everybody together, so we have, just to introduce some of the cast we have Bill Butts as the announcer, who was in One Punch Man, Mobile Suit Gundam, and Thunderbolt. What's the latest?
Shenmue 3 was pretty big, yeah. Chocolata and JoJo's.
Yep. We have, for Alice the Rabbit, we have Kaylee Mills, who's, what's the other, not Hugo, that's you.
Yeah, Misako in River City Girls, Kaching in Genshin Impact, whole bunch of stuff.
And Bakuri the Mole's me, and I guess my notable stuff would be Neon Genesis Evangelion, I was Shinji Ikari. And in Shin Megami Tensei 5, I was Nahabino, the protagonist. And in Red Dead Redemption, I was everybody you killed. And you want to continue?
Yeah. For Busuzina the Chameleon, we have River Bate, who is known for games like Yakuza 7 and Phantasy Star Online 2. Gato the Lion, we have Bill Rogers, who's been playing Brock on Pokemon for the past decade and some more years. When you hear it, you're going to be like, amazing. He's also Urien in Street Fighter. Jenny the Bat, we have Lisa Ortiz, who directs and plays like half the cast of the Pokemon
She's my
anime.
Pokemon director, so I called her up as we were on a walk. And I was like, hey, Lisa, what you doing right now? I'm making cookies. I'm like, that's fair, because pandemic and no one's really doing anything.
She was also Lena Inverse, if anyone watched Slayers back in the 90s or whenever that came out. Long the Tiger, this was one of those no-brainer ones that we didn't even have to think about, because every time there's a character who has these kinds of like moves and stuff in fighting games, Keiji Tang is the one who plays this character. And Keiji has been in a lot of projects like the Yakuza Judgment series. He's one of the mains in that. He's been in like Final Fantasy, Dead or Alive, playing a similar character in Dead or Alive, and all sorts of stuff.
I didn't even realize that some of these actors that I was like, oh, they might be good for this character. He was like, they already played a character very similar in like Dead or Alive or Street Fighter, and I'm like, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I joke every time there's a whatcha character that's played by KG. Marvel / Sheena the Leopard, because the name is different, presumably for copyright reasons based on region, is Morgan Berry, who's been in projects like My Hero Academia, Fire Emblem, Dragon Ball, Yashahime. Shenlong is played by Xander Mobus. You guys probably have heard Xander's work, even if you don't know the name off the top of your head. He is the game announcer in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And he is also the protagonist in Persona 5. So, probably heard Xander's work at some point if you play any of these sorts of games. Stun the Insect is Eddie Correa Jr. He is actually, we primarily know him for his audio engineering work. He's done sound work on a lot of games like Devil May Cry, Soul Calibur, Dead or Alive, all sorts of games like that.
So he worked as an engineer and audio editor on those games. And when I hit him up, I was like, hey, I'm doing this really stupid project. You want to, maybe help out with this? I'll give you like, I don't know, $50 and some pizza, and it was like, because we've been friends for years.
For this, it was just us making it.
We've just been friends for years, and he's just like, oh hell yeah, that sounds fun, cool. And so we went through the same process, like mastering the audio that he does when he did it for like other fighting games and stuff. I'm like, that's actually really dope, because now you get to see like what that would translate into in an old PS1 game, and then we were looking when we got Stun. He was kind of like, oh, because we were looking for something kind of like this and that. He's like, oh, like this? And he did a few things. I'm like, hey, do you want to play Stun?
Yeah.
And it was really good.
Stun was the only character we auditioned. We auditioned a couple people we knew, and it was like, okay, it's good, but maybe that's not quite what we were thinking of. And given Eddie's audio background, he was like, what if I pitched it slightly and put this effect on? We're like, yeah, there we go.
And I was like, ooh, yeah, that's Stun. Okay, I think we got it. So turnaround time on this sucker was like 2 weeks from start to finish. We really had nothing to do and I really had no life. I was glued to the computer. I was doing tests. I have a stack of burned CDs about like, oh, this came out too quiet. Oh, this didn't come out right. I get stacks of
confirm, it's a huge stack.
I'm just gonna save them forever because I wrote notes on them and I'm like, in case this ever blew up in some weird way, put it in a museum, so I don't know. But yeah, so without further ado, I guess we can show you some of the games.
And Hugo the Wolf, we have to.
Oh, Hugo the Wolf.
Ulrico was next on the list, but
Bosco.
that's me. So yeah, Edward Bosco. So fun fact, I remember you asked, oh, would he be good at doing like the little like boxer punches? And I was like, so fun fact, he plays Ed in Street Fighter. And I showed like a very similar thing he did in a video.
And I was like, oh, that's perfect. And he already was like, yeah, I want to do this. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, you go. Because
you sound like quite
he's got the pitch, he's got the energy
killer
for it,
instinct.
and he was able to match the Japanese. So I pulled the Japanese version audio as reference, but I had to pull the original English dub's audio for timing reference because we couldn't go over or under that. I preferred under, that way I can pad out the rest of the file, right? And then just like space it with nothing. That way the system thinks it's the same file. This is the only way to do this. We can't like decompile it and recompile it. So I had to go into use a hex editor to insert every single new sound in every new voice file in the game. And it tricks the system into thinking it's the same game, which is pretty dope. Makes it easier, makes it nice and stable, so there's no weirdness.
Yeah, the fact that it's running on a PS1, like this is an amazing feat.
Nerd stuff. But yeah, let's show you some of the game.
And real quick, how did you become acquainted with the Bloody Roar community?
Oh well, when I was working on this, I found the Discord server through, I think it was Reddit or something, and I was just trying to search and be like, is there a community for this? Are they going to kill me if I do this? You know, how strongly do people feel about it? And there's a community, but it's very like scattered. It's not like there's a lot of people in one place. It's starting to really, over the last couple of years, really come together. But because now there's tournaments that feature Bloody Roar a lot more often, and upon releasing a patch for this, it's brought a lot of people together, and it's like that's actually really cool to see. But before all of that, I went to the server and I met with my friend Scott here, a couple others, Jeremiah Isaiah, who won Combo Breaker.
Yeah, he's the Bloody Roar Extreme Combo Breaker champion.
He's the champion of Extreme, Bloody Roar Extreme. So
he was on the panel at the PAX East, if anyone was there.
And he streams Bloody Roar constantly. It's his, like all the different games.
It's his main thing, and he's really good at it. So, and you know, I showed this to Scott and Jeremiah, and they're just like, what is this? no, really, what the heck is this? And I explained it, and they're just like, are you for real right now? And they're like, hold on. And you guys had to like look me up to make sure I was me and like not.
Yeah, you explained this to Jeremiah first, and then Jeremiah messages me saying, bruh.
And he makes Rico, so I was like all nervous, like, oh no, what if he thinks I like ruined his favorite character?
That's funny, he told me, he's like, bro, whatever you do, don't mess up Rico. And I'm like, I got you, it's Kira Buckland. Kira Buckland! He's like, okay, I trust him. And he loved it, and Scott loved it, and then we started sharing it with more and more bloody roar people, like fans, and like, you know, I was at the top people, but the people that were most in this community the longest, and, you know, I was kind of really nervous, because I'm like, oh crap, this is a game people they've been playing since they were little kids, right? And now I'm like, doing something to it that I hope that they think is cool. But they all seem to really love it, and now we're here. So hopefully you guys will think it's pretty cool too. So let's do like want to do like a match, or should I just do sound tests so you can hear some of the stuff, or how you guys want to do?
Who says jump into a match?
Can we match?
Do a match? All right.
All right, cool.
I mean, I already know who you're picking.
You know what I'm picking?
I know who you're picking.
I know who you're picking too.
I'm picking myself. Only character I'm good at. That's why I had to voice it.
Who should I pick?
Anyone have a strong preference for who you'd like to hear?
Yeah, play as Kira.
I mean, I'll play as
You want to play?
Okay. You want me to sit?
Alright. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna get beaten by my roommate. Did you hit back?
Did I go back? Is
did.
triangle back?
Triangle is
Okay.
indeed back.
I'm used to circle being back in games. My bad.
It's okay, take two.
Trying to
You
choose
can
the
edit that out.
costume. Okay.
I'm not editing any of this.
The Tom's a good stage. Right? That's good.
Yeah.
Aquarium's nice. Aquarium. Go Aquarium.
By the way, the sound is going to sound crunchy because it has to be crunched down like that for PS1 format.
Everything we recorded was in crystal clear quality. But I had to dumb it down, crunch it down to like 11K.
So it's going to sound like a PS1 game.
It sounds like, how'd you get it to sound like that? It did it itself.
Now, if you'll notice, we're not really going in beast mode here because the beast mode sounds are just the same sound effects that were used in the all the original versions. So
I didn't
that's
want to
not
touch
us.
those. I wanted to kind of honor what they have there. Like, we could have done new stuff, but they sound fine. I really like those.
All right.
The moment you went into Beast Form, I knew you were doing
You
it.
knew what was coming. I had to get a little and play it again.
You're too weak.
All right, Scott, you want to
Yeah, thank you. The champion. Okay. He's gonna book me, by the way.
Depends who I play.
You play Sheena, I'm done for. Oh, now you're throwing the fight. Oh, and if anyone wants to come up and play with us, we do have Prince.
Yeah, we
And you
did
can
these
sign them, and if you'd like to come up
prints
and
with
play.
Luddico versus Thackeray, and we will sign them for you.
Just for coming up to play if you want. Absolutely. Really wants to get us.
See, you meme on me with that all the time, like if we need to go somewhere to go get coffee.
I do.
He's just like, yeah!
You did. You slapped him. Ooh. I forgot how hard my KO screen was. Jeez.
No, I remember, because I was worried you were going to hurt your voice, and you're like, no, I have to get this perfect.
No, it was so good in Japanese, I had to like try my best.
You went full on like Shinji scream.
I did. If I'm not doing it justice, what's the point?
It's okay, it's Usazima.
Usazima deserves it. Now there is a story mode in this game, but there was never dialogue there, so we can only kind of change what was already there. But I thought it'd be cool if there was some way to record that dialogue from story mode. But sadly, that's nothing we can do yet. But maybe someday. Where'd he go? Hello. Oh. Whoop. Whoop. If I do the kick in roll form, it's like, yeah, we should do.
Yeah, so we can take some hands for volunteers, and then just to make this fun, you can choose which one of us you want to fight. So I'm the worst of the three of us. I'll own that. So if you want to feel good about yourself, you can fight me. If you want a pretty tough fight, you can pick Casey. And then if you want to take on the legend, like the Gato, then you take
You weren't around dramatically overstating my ability.
Oh, so who wants to pick first?
You seem pretty enthused. I like it. Come on up. So who do you want to fight?
Over for that.
And who do you want to fight? If you want to play against you here?
I will try my best.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You'll have to kind of look at the TV down
Oh, yeah.
there. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
not gonna
This is
yeah.
definitely a little stage
Okay.
trick. Oh. Alice around it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll be Rico. That way it's like River City Girls too.
Oh, awesome.
So only they're kicking each other's butts this time. We'll do it in C. That's pretty fitting.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
Alright, good luck.
Thank you.
Ricola, beast, so rabbit.
On a PS1. Crazy. In this, the year 2022. Fire! Fire! I have no idea how to play Rico anymore. It's been so long. I didn't know I could do that.
Nice.
It's like a real cat. Meow.
Sounds just like we never left home.
I know. She has 5 packs.
Now you're just being mean.
You give me a tip. What do I do? Okay, I'll try my best.
That's my job.
Yeah.
I'm a rabbit, I'm cool.
Yeah.
Ow, ow, ow. Wow. Oh my god, hello. That's just Kira. All the time anyway.
Nice job. Should I get out of the way? Hang on, back up.
Right here. What was your name? Give it up for Cody.
It's hard to play video games in front of an audience. Thank you for playing.
Thank you for playing. Oh, you didn't put that?
Well,
Yes. Whatever it is. Is it?
all right, who's the next person you want to come up? I saw your hand first in the black, I think it's a Yoda shirt. Yeah. Which one of us do you want to fight?
I'll play Kira because it's probably the closest I'm going to be able to an even matchup.
Fair.
What's your name?
Ritter.
Is it up for Ritter? Nice to meet you, Ritter. Kick some butt, here we go.
I'll see what I can do.
And in this corner,
I know we don't have our commentator friends here today.
Hugo.
Hugo.
Oh, you guys get to hear Hugo. I'm so excited for this.
Listen to his opening. It's pretty great. Yeah. And all of its PS1 crunch down goodness. Ooh. So circle to go in beast form. It gives you your health back too.
Do you want a tip?
It's been 15 years since I've touched this.
Square is punch.
Thank you.
Yes.
So, yep. And grab, yep.
I'm so used to
Go easy on it,
I'm trying
yeah.
to hold back to block.
Oh,
That does work in this game.
You got beast form. Hit circle, circle. Hey!
So in this game,
Oh!
there's two types of defense. If you press nothing, it's light guard. If you will guard her back, it's heavy guard. And then there's a guard escape where you sidestep a move.
Dang, ooh, it's getting close. Ooh, wow. Oh! Ooh!
Oh!
Good combat. Good save. Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? Did you try to duck that dog? It's not safe, Chris. It's not safe. Uh-oh. Ooh!
Good sound.
Ritter.
How you spell it?
R-I-T-T-E-R.
Absolutely, dude. Thank you.
Thank you for pretending I got that hand
You're adapted.
Oh yeah.
Thank you so much.
Good job. All right. Scott, want to pick next?
You in the yellow shirt? Oh, me? All right. And you are?
I'm Griffin. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
He knew right to go for. Uh-oh, Scott.
Start being set.
I think the last time I played this game was like 2002, and it was because the PS2 one was out of stock at the
Oh my
movie
God.
gallery.
Scott is the best of, like, between me and Kira. And himself. Got it. Focus, remember everything I taught you. Sheesh. And there's the bloody man. Oh my God. Oh my God. Jeez. Jeez.
Good luck with Scott.
Sign my arcade stick, if that's okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Can you bring that up to me?
Absolutely. Would you still like to play?
Oh.
Griffin, like P-R-I-F-F-I-N?
Yeah. Want to sign the side of my headlock?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Look at this.
You sure you
Yeah, the sign
want?
would be
You sure you wanted to face your arcade stick like this? Oh.
Wow. That felt crazy. Give it a good while to dry. That is so cool. Dang. Water. Give it up for Griffin. Yeah. One more time. If I don't write thank you for playing, what's the point?
Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, 30 minutes. Alright. We have 2 prints left, which means we have 2 more people coming in. So you, me. Let's go. Oh yeah. Here we go.
I thought I was just going to sit here and look pretty the whole panel.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Want to change the level too? You can hit R1 and stuff on the main thingy, but it's too late, so never mind.
Oh, you guys get to hear Xander Shenlong. This is gonna be. He doesn't talk much, but it's gonna be.
Hey, you know what this is? SMT 5 Protag versus Persona 5 Protag. Woo! Woo! I didn't even know I could do that, bro.
One thing you'll notice with this game too is that sometimes you'll hear the same attack sounds a lot because back then they didn't have so many variations available when games had a smaller amount of memory to use for like audio and things like that. So similar to how it has to be crunched down, we couldn't really add extra sounds because we had to fix what was originally there.
You just like Goomba'd me.
I'm using that move way too much.
That's the, oh! This Gage. Give it up for Gage. Your signature is so much better than mine, oh my god. Thank you so much, man.
tentative hands go up, and now we see a lot of hands.
Want to pick?
Oh, okay. How do I see an enthusiastic hand in the back there. Yeah, come on now. Oh! Plus you have a cool costume.
Yeah. Yep, this last fight too, we could like do some Q&A if you guys have questions, something like that, if you guys are down for that. Sweet.
Careful of your gorgeous dress. Which one of us would like to know? The TV is down there, so we need to scream that. That's so great. Interesting setup here. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
My favorite.
Tame the Bat Beast.
You're Jenny Main? Yeah.
Though I haven't played in long time.
Muscle memory, it'll come back.
Muscle memory comes back to you.
I don't know.
Okay, pretty good. All right. Pretty good. Oh. Yeah, I think you got your magic. Ooh. Very close. I like how the music even stopped. Like, even the music was like, oh!
How do I spell it?
SCXCR.
All right.
Give it up for Sherry!
Thank you all so much who came up and played with us. Hope you guys like the job so far.
So, should we start lining people up for Q&A?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Oh yes, this is a mic there. I guess we could do it that way.
Yeah, we'll spend the last part of the panel doing some question and answers, so feel free to line up if you've got a question and we will answer.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, give it up for Sherry.
Woo! Cool vegetables.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
So my question is, you said that you did all of your stuff from home, right?
Yes.
So, where's the You did. What was your? I'm curious what your like home setup was like. Like, what did you prepare in your own home in your own setting?
So we, at least Kira and I are roommates, so we have like a soundproof vocal booth. It's what we ended up doing a lot of shows and games and like anime and whatnot from home during the pandemic. We still do. We still use this booth for even recording stuff like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yeah, I'm lucky I got the booth before the pandemic because I just did like a lot of indie games and stuff where I had to record from home. So I had that already, and I was very grateful for it when the time came where we couldn't go in.
We had just gotten a new microphone, so this was like my first time kind of using it, and it's called a Sennheiser 416, and it's like a shotgun mic, so it's not like your normal condenser mic. It's a mic that is actually used a lot for funny games. So I thought, what better way to test this out?
It's actually one that was like commonly used on film sets, but then people started using it.
Yeah,
for
that's when
voice as
I
well.
first used that mic when I did Red Dead Redemption. I was like, what the heck? I've never seen a mic that's like this long, you know, I'm used to like a little condenser, you know, the standard looking microphone. But this was a lot different, as long as you position it right, and it's got a nice, it kind of like rounds out. So it sounds like I don't see there's already been processing done, but like if you're screaming, you go like, ah, damn, and all that stuff, it kind of rounds it out to a nice sound, and it doesn't sound so like just full in a not so great way like a condenser mic does.
Right.
So I prefer a mic like the 416.
And it gets a little bit less of the room noise, because even in a booth sometimes
Yes.
you'll have a little bit of
It's like ambient noise.
reflection. Yeah, and
For a PS1 game doesn't really matter. But,
well, and
but still.
you need a good audio interface for it. We use the SSL2, and I know it. Yeah, to go with the PS1 game thing. I mean, it may sound counterintuitive in a way, like, well, why do you need to use this good quality equipment when it's going to sound like a potato anyway when it's crunched down? But I think if you record on something crappy, it's going to sound even worse when it's downsampled.
It will,
so
absolutely, yeah.
recording on something good at least makes it a little bit better when it has to be crunched
Yeah,
down.
because at least these microphones can handle really high thresholds and high like let me show you my scream.
Oh, yeah.
If I tried doing this scream on like a USB mic or something, you wouldn't even hear it. Like the waveform, if you opened it up in like a program, it would just be a block, it would just be a brick. You wouldn't even be able to tell. See if I can find which one is which. So yeah, it's a little too low for you guys to actually hear it, but it's a very intense. So doing something like that would not have worked on a USB mic at all. So that's why we had to use that. We had perfectly good sounding audio, had to crunch it down, and that's the only way this machine will recognize it. At least the way it's coded.
Right.
To read that very low, we don't have the source code for this, so we couldn't change anything like that. But working with what we were given, it works. It didn't crash the game, that's good.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. If somebody had absolutely no experience whatsoever and they wanted to see about trying voice acting and they wanted to know what to do in terms of what education they should pursue or what knowledge resources, what do you think would be the best thing for them to do?
When it comes to reverse engineering games and stuff?
Just for voice acting.
Oh, for voice
becoming
acting.
a voice actor.
Well, this is when you...
Do stuff on the internet. That's how I got started. Do stuff there are communities like game modding communities and things like that, and there's people who are just making projects. I mean, as you see at a convention like this, there's so many indie game devs, for example, and just doing stuff online is such a great way to get started, especially because a lot of that stuff can be done remote. In contrast to, a lot of the big games that we record, we live in LA, we still have to go in for those, but yeah, and acting classes, any kind of acting classes. Are you Seattle local?
No, I'm from Canada.
Oh, okay. Well, I think depending on if you're from Vancouver, I think there are a lot of acting workshops and stuff there. It might be more geared toward film and TV, but acting is acting, so even that can help. And there may be some voice acting classes, because I know there used to be quite a bit of cartoon voice work done in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
But you have a website.
Yeah, voiceactingclub.com. Should be super easy to remember. I don't have my cards with me, but yeah, it's
There's a lot of resources
Voice actor
that
club.
she's created, resources and guides on how to get
yeah,
like
completely free. We have a
setting up
Discord
a-
server.
setting up like a basic like home studio for yourself, and just kind of like just if you want to get like a basic mic, some basic information on how to make it sound not totally terrible from home on a budget and stuff. There's resources on all that stuff there, so hopefully that's good starting point. Good luck. Thank you.
So I have some experience doing translation hacking for PS1 games, and kind of the way this works is you get everything and you think it's perfect, and you go to insert it into the game, and the game just breaks, or there's weird quirks or something that prevent you from getting your project done. So I was curious if there was any weird like quirks or issues or just strange things that happened while you were trying to figure out how the heck you were going to do this project.
The hardest thing about it was I have like a dev kit for like PS3, 4, whatever. I don't have a PS1 dev kit or any way to easily do this, and I didn't want to use an emulator to test out tree sound on like an actual system, not just computer speakers or headphones. So I'd have to burn discs, and that was the hardest thing because I could never get the sound exactly how I wanted. So when I first put in my Bach video, I'm like, oh, this is good, but it's kind of low compared to the rest of the sounds. So I'll mark it down going, Bach view is in, but I need to do it like maybe plus 10 decibels. So I'd write that on the disc. I'd put
The
that
original
in,
song
and
was so
sound-
loud, by the way.
Yeah, the original game audio was like really, it's weird because it was recorded so loud, but I had to do it even louder because in the original, you couldn't even hear some of what they were saying. And the Japanese version was even quieter. Bakuri, you couldn't even hear what Bakuri would say over the like da 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 music at the end. You just barely even tell. You'd have to go into the sound effect player just to hear it. And I'm like, well, I don't want that, so I want to make it just peek through a little bit so you can hear something there. So I kind of was fine-tuning that. I think that's the one thing I changed, is just the levels. I want things to be a little more balanced right out of the gate. I didn't want it to be too quiet, too loud. I want it just to be like a nice blend of music and voice. And it took a lot of CDs that turned into coasters, but there's a lot of them, and that was the hardest part, was just, because putting the sound into the game was, surprisingly, I didn't really have any crashes, but I tested this thing out on multiple systems and emulators. I left it on overnight, over and over, just so it would keep loading and cycling through, just to make sure nothing would crash.
I remember the PlayStation where you had to put it on its side to get it to read the disc.
I had to get a new one, because the thing couldn't even read the disc right. I had to put this stupid thing on its side, just to get it to read, and I'd leave it on like for like 48 solid hours as it cycled through. No crashes, no nothing weird, so as someone who's done QA before, I'm like, we need to test every stupid thing out.
Oh, and you also
Stress
did like
testing.
an arcade emulation version, didn't you?
Yeah, I did just as something to see if I could. I took the arcade version of Bloody Roar 2, and I did put the voices into that as well. It's pretty cool, but this is the coolest one. Just don't tell Kira, because she likes the arcade.
And there were a couple of like oddities with some of the builds. Like I remember one where you do the Bakurio through the legs throw, and the guy would fly the opposite direction of where he should.
Oh, that
Or
was
the one where
when...
he got stuck in like the banana pose on the ground and he couldn't
that
fight
was
anymore.
Yeah, so I did try to mess around with other things. None of that which made it into this. It was just something like an experiment. But I did kind of like, see what happens when I do this and this with the animations. I have no experience in anything animation, by the way, so some funny stuff happened. But I wanted to see what would happen. I was able to unlock levels that were never supposed to be seen before. I accidentally hacked into some levels that were like left over from the arcade. And I remember I loaded in some of that stuff, and it was like, what the heck is this left over from the first game? But like, let's just leave that there. No one has to see those. But yeah, as far as like other oddities of the game, I was just, everything else is the exact same, because in the file structure, all I really did was focus just on the audio, and I made sure that the byte size is the exact same. So if you were to like if you take the original game disc and boot it up and play it and listen to the original dub, open this thing up, take out the disc and put this one in and close it, it's exact. So the game would still play, it wouldn't crash and think it's a different game. It would just know it's the same game, it think it's the same game, but it would play all of our data instead.
Excellent. Well, thank you for answering the question.
It was a process, but it's pretty cool in the end, so thank you. Thanks for the question.
See, I don't know how possible this is, but I've heard of like Evo
having like odd games like that you wouldn't expect. Like I remember they did Catherine one year, I think, at Evo. But I don't know if they could, for some reason, like or somehow, put like this project in a major event like Evo. Would you like to see that, or think it would be cool?
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, I don't think they do like modded games. I mean, like the actual gameplay is the exact same.
That's the thing that I made sure was like the exact game is you can play the original game and it will play 1-to-1 exact. So only difference at all is the audio, down to the byte. Because if it was changed a single byte, if there was an extra 1 or a 0 anywhere in there, the game would crash. So it had to be exact same.
Okay.
So be that as it may, hell yeah, I'd love to see that something like that'd be super cool.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And like it's been run at like various places, either as self-organized tournaments or as like mystery game tournaments. Combo Breaker actually did that before Extreme was showcased as a main stage game. So that possibility is definitely out there.
I would love to. If anyone runs any event and you'd like me to hook you up with a way to get this working, hit me up. We'll make it happen. I'd love to see a tournament with this build. That'd be pretty sweet.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Hey, so my question is, how did you run across Bloody Roar 2? Like, do you feel like it was just one of those games you were trying on like PS1, just kind of bored at home, or
Yep.
how do you run across it?
So there's a shop in Los Angeles called Retro Game Camp, which is no longer in business, sadly, because of COVID, but I picked it up just before they went out of business, and that's where I got the Japanese version. Loved it. Was like, this is amazing. So I was able to pick up the English version, like not that long after, like a few weeks later, I was 2 or 3 weeks later, and I'm like, well, they added a couple things, which is cool, but I don't really like what they did with the audio. It's just not as good as Japanese. They tweaked some things, the volume was weird, and I'm like, So I really just fell in love with the game. And I just thought, damn, it'd be really cool to take it apart and maybe just try my hand. Because there's not a lot of lines, you know? It's just like 10 punching and kicking noises, a KO, a lose. It's
And
under 15 lines.
didn't we like have this conversation, like what would this sound like if done by LA voice actors in 2020 or
Yeah,
whatever?
that's what we were wondering. It's like, what if this was like modern with like all of our, working talent friends, and they all agreed to do it. So this was the result, and it's pretty rad.
I agree. Thank you.
Absolutely. Hi there, I love your outro, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Oh my god, okay. I was wondering for each of you what ended up being your favorite line that either you recorded or someone else recorded for this project.
There's blood in my class.
You're too weak to defeat me is probably my favorite one, but a lot of people seem to like, get up! When I kick someone on the
Well, I'm
ground.
just gonna know because you taught me with both of those.
You're too weak to defeat me.
Play the line, you have it open.
You're too weak to defeat me.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely, thank you. And I think that'll probably about do it, right? So,
Yeah, looks like we're just about at time here.
there is a patch. One last thing before we go. There's a patch that you guys can, if you have the game at home, you can play this version. There's a patch available on, what is the site?
It's bloody-roar.net.
So bloody-roar.net, bloody-roar.net, and there's a link, so you could just grab a patch, take your original game, like ISO or BenQ, like ROM file, load up the patch, and just hit go, and then bam, you have this. So just like that. So you'll be able to play it and have fun with it, and just play it at your own leisure. And that's about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed what we did with the game. And this presentation.
Thank you so much. Sunday evening.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for coming out, and yeah, hope you enjoyed, and hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.